All right, guys, Ken at PyroLock got tired of me picking those fake 8-lever locks that came out of India and Pakistan, so he decided to send me a real one. And this is an antique lock, obviously. This is out of Germany by a company called Berg, and the modern-day equivalent of that is the Berg Vector. There's the Berg means castle. I think that's a castle in the center there. Hard to make out, but that's their logo from goodness knows how long ago. I would say 100 years or so. I'm sure there's some German collectors out there that could date this a little bit more accurately. This is from a time when the manufacturers were quite proud, and were not only would they put a nice logo, but they put some other stuff on that I'll show you in a minute. There's what your key looks like. It is a true 8-lever. So, original key. Notice how far you have to rotate this to get it open. It starts to tension right there, and you have to rotate it all the way around. Very strong spring to about right there. So almost 180 degrees to get it over the top to fight all those springs. And then we got it open. Even after all these years, this thing still works perfectly. Let me put that back in there so we can lock it in a minute. But before I do that, I want to show you something. I got a light here. When you look down inside of there, you see some unusual stuff. Try to angle this just right. I think you can see the levers, but in between the levers are these little plates or discs. And I'm using the word discs because that's the word that the manufacturer used. I'll show you in just a minute. Let me lock them back up. Locked. Again, this is from a time when the manufacturers were really proud and they wanted you to know all of the work that they had put into their locks. Now, of course, this is in German, and my German is probably rustier than this lock is, but I'm going to do my best to work through this. You can see we have an 8, a 7, and 5, and I'll just start at the top here. I haven't done this since I was a kid, so bear with me. 8, precision, and it says tumblers, but I think they probably mean levers since this is a lever lock. 7 are individually sprung. There are 5 high security sliding discs, and I think that means those are probably those discs that are in between the wafers or in between the levers. And I say that because we're going to get to the word cadmium down here. Cadmium is not only a protectant, but it also reduces friction between parts. So I'd be willing to bet that they're cadmium coated. We got, it says extra strong latches. All of the, all inner parts are cadmium clad. There's that word we were talking about. The housing has a novel or unique anchoring, and I think that means for the internal parts. Usually on the back of the lock, you can see the pins where they're welded. On this one, you don't see it. So kind of unique anchoring. That's what they're bragging about. You can't drill it out from the outside. The hanger is hard steel and cadmium coated. By hanger, they mean the shackle. And we know that that's exactly what they're talking about because there you see Stahlhart. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Let's flip them over. Let me get back where I was. Down at 2. 2 extra strong bolt heads. Lens bolt heads. I think they're talking about lens being the curvature. I'm probably mistranslating that, but we have 2 bolts that go all the way through and they're peened over on both sides. So those would be very difficult. And they are hardened, it says, hardened steel. Both sides have been, see if I get that right, submerged or coated in cadmium. And then the bottom part, I'm definitely going to need some help translating here. This last word actually means deposited, deponiert, and then DRGM. And I think probably what that means is back in the day, if you bought this lock and somebody broke through it or picked through it to steal some of your stuff, there probably was a deposit. This is probably some security organization or perhaps a bank. Or maybe, hopefully some of you German guys can help me out. Maybe Berg deposited some money with that company, so if you ever got ripped off, it was kind of like an insurance. You could go to them to collect on whatever you lost. And pure guess. Anyway, this is enough messing around. I am going to have to figure out how to tension this thing. So let me go ahead and bolt it up in a vise, figure out how to tension it, and let's see if we can't get this old Berg picked. All right, guys, it took exactly 1 minute to clamp this in the vise and another 20 minutes to figure out how to tension this thing. So it does work. We have an open and lock him back up. Just a reminder, there's what your key looks like. 8 levers. And let me show you what I started with. I started with a blank key that looked like this that Andy Mack was kind enough to send to me from the UK. This is a modern day ERA, but I had to modify it quite a bit. It was the only one that looked like it had enough meat on the body to fit around that center post. So I'll just show you the end result. This used to be an ERA key, and I had to enlarge the center post hole, and then I had to really thin this down because it's so large there just wasn't enough room unless I filed it that deeply to get a wire in there. It does fit. It's still very tight, and when I turn it you can see even hollowed out like that, there's just not a heck of a lot of room in there to mess around with. There is enough room to get a thin wire. And it's still tight. And it does pinch, but it does fit and it does turn. It is locked still, so let's see if we can unlock it using all this makeshift stuff here. All right, I'm going to apply some light tension to it and see if we can feel our way. It is stuck. There we go. Come out of there. It is pinching. Just real small movements. Everything still feels springy. There was pin number 5. That was 6. Felt a little click. One is still springy, so is 2. Okay, that was 6 again. I felt a slight turn on the core, so I might very well have found a false gate. Okay, that was 2 and it turned a little more, so I wasn't in a false gate, but I might be in one now. And that is lever 1, I believe. We have an open on this really old Berg lock. Man, what? I did not think it would be quite that easy. I thought I'd be battling this thing for like 20 or 30 minutes. This is going to be a long videotape. I even brought in a bottle of water here thinking it would take a while. Anyway, it didn't. There you go, the Berg. I appreciate your time, guys. Stay safe, stay legal. Ken from Pyrolock. Thank you, sir, for sending in this lock and for being so patient while I work my way through the queue. Thanks, guys.